everyone. It's Thursday, it's raining, and we are all here naturally listening. So, thank you for joining us again. We had to reschedule our Monday interview due to audio technical difficulties. So, I wanted to make sure I pay respects to the guest that we brought on, Mr. Melvin Murphy, just to come back up and finish our conversation. So, this time we are all set and ready to go. Again, my name is Olawumi Akinwumi. I am your program director and your moderator, host, best of the mostest for Hibernian Hall's Community Spotlight. So again, like I said, we have a special guest. We're bringing back Mr. Melvin Murphy. Before we do that, I just want to make sure I can just go ahead and reiterate his bio. He is the founder and director of Higher Praise Music and Arts Gospel Community Choir, songwriter, playwright, musician, director, and singer. Born in Coy, Alabama, raised in Boston, Massachusetts, founded the New England Mass Workshop Choir in 1985. The choir was popular in Massachusetts, recorded his first album in 1986 entitled Praise You for What You Have Done. Most of the songs were written and arranged by Melvin Murphy. In 2007, he recorded a live CD project at St. John Missionary Baptist Church in Roxbury entitled We Come to Praise Him. This is one of the first live gospel recorders in Massachusetts. He has shared the stage with Al Green, Shirley Caesar, J.J. Hurston, and Youthful Praise, Timothy Wright, Keith Pringle, and so many other well-known gospel artists. Melvin Murphy's choir has performed backup vocals for Josh Groban and country great Charlie Daniels. Murphy currently serves as the minister of music at First Baptist Church in Saugus, Mass. He is the chapter representative for Massachusetts chapter for Gospel Music Workshop of America, which was founded by the Reverend James Cleveland. So, with the mouthful of this wonderful introduction, let's bring back on Mr. Melvin Murphy. Hello, sir.
Hey, how are you, Miss Ola?
I'm good. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me again.
Yes, my pleasure. Like I said, it's always an honor and a privilege. So thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime. So when we were talking before, we were getting more in depth about, more about what you do, what makes you the artist. So I guess to start back up, you was first joined our playwriting lab last year when our sister Farai Williams had introduced you. And then that was when you basically carried on a wonderful script for Celebrate the King, which we premiered last December. And that was awesome, a great turnout. So I guess you can just take off from that and then we just continue on talking all some good stuff.
Yeah, that's what we did. That Celebrate the King. Oh my goodness, it was just a wonderful time. I'm really not a stressful person, so I try to enjoy the moment as we go along, through the rehearsing. But it was awesome, to be able to use the hall and formulate it into like a theater type. We got wonderful cast of great singers and good actors. Some of them weren't really actors. The only one had to kind of work with them. So I got a comment from someone during one of the nights that we were performing, and they said, "Wow, where did you find all those great actors that can sing?" And I laugh. I'm like, "Oh, it wasn't hard." But I think they take pride. They took a lot of pride in what they were doing. So we had a wonderful cast and a wonderful time using your hall, working with your staff or the staff at Hibernian Hall. Thank you all for giving us that opportunity. Thank you for collaborating with me and believing in me and giving me a chance. I mean, I was practically off the street when I came into the class, but in your soul arts class, I met a lot of wonderful actresses and actors, other playwriters, directors. So it was good to meet with them and mingle with them a little bit. And I forgot the gentleman's name, but he asked me to do a reading for his play. It's on the tip of my tongue. It'll come back to me. But that was all exciting for me. It was all exciting. And so we were able to do the Christmas play, had a good turnout. We worked hard at it, thanks to your help and your assistance with putting that all together. Assad and his staff, the gentleman who did the lighting and the sound. It was an awesome time.
Thank you. It was an awesome time. It was beautiful. I mean, the whole idea is working with emerging artists in the community, whether you're from Roxbury or in the Boston area. We're basically putting faith into creatives to put on work that they just begun, or how to basically get it lifted. And so that's a prime example. Having these playwriting labs for folks who are interested and be helping to build more of their craft and turn it into a masterpiece. And so that's what I saw when I appreciated, and as we shared in our space, Celebrate the King. And we're looking forward to see that this winter, but more in a virtual presentation. And so, yeah, so now we're
Yeah.
moving on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have so much to offer there, basically what you said, I just want to encourage everybody, to involve yourself. One thing I had to learn, Miss Ola, I had to learn two things in life.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to be patient,
Yep.
and I had to learn how to be a team player. In other words, being able to work with others and as others work with me. Those are
Mm-hmm.
two key things in my life that I really had to learn, and I found it to be very effective. That if you can collaborate with people and be a team player, doesn't mean you have to come together and argue and fight and all the time. You just come together, discuss, and work together, and great things come out of that. So, the Hibernian Hall has offered that to me, and just being able to work with you and being patient. Well, when I say patience, it depends on who you ask. Because some of the people I work with probably like, he's not patient. He's not patient with us.
Part
um,
of the process, you know.
yeah, it is part of the process, but they don't know. But yeah, I mean, years ago, when I was really young, I didn't have much patience. I was always yelling and screaming and kicking people out of rehearsal. But like you said, being able to come together with all that your organization has to offer, it was really a plus for me. So great.
I'm glad, and I'm very glad that that was a help to you. And this is also a great way for folks to kind of see more of the limelight of what you do. And
Mm.
talking about that, I mean, I did a little brief intro, but is there anything else you'd like to add for our audience to know more about you?
Um, I think you in the bio had most of it. I'm a writer, singer, musician. Those are my areas first. The music came first. Um, but I over the last few years, I've gotten more into playwriting. I've always written plays. I've done little local projects. They were kind of like a practice. But I decided that it's time for me to pick it up. We were doing little local projects in some churches, which was good. But I really wanted to get into a theater, and I really wanted to get to a place where we could have the lighting that's there, sound that's there, that professional setting as a theater atmosphere. So I started picking that up, started working with it, and in the soul arts class that I took, um, learned a lot, picked up a lot of good pointers from different people. So that was definitely a big help. Um, so that's me, music first, and now I've gotten trying to get big more into the theater, trying to do more writing. I can act a little bit, but I'm so silly when I act. I feel like I'm being silly. Maybe I can do comedy, I guess. Um, but I'm more into that. But I am a musician. I'm a family man. I've been married 32 years. I got 3 kids, 2 grands. I'm
Nice.
also the minister of music in Saugus First Baptist Church. But I've done a lot of musical work in the city of Boston and in the state of Massachusetts, actually all over the country.
Mm. So, what would you say your artistry would be like? Knowing that you wear all these hats, but what would you consider your most prominent one?
Yeah. So my first and foremost is, music, the piano, just playing the piano. It's just music is just such therapy. You sit down and tickle those keys a little bit. I've always had a passion for music and instruments, but that was my first love, just being able to sit down and play. I learned by ear in the beginning, but as time went on, I went and took some classes. Still not a great music reader, but I do have some theory in the background. Um, the plus side about that is it takes you out of a box, so you're not really certainly not trying to knock anybody who reads, because I think that's very, very important.
Mhm.
But for me, it kind of pushed me out of the box to be open to learn how to play anything any way I want to, and be creative with it without having to be scripted.
Okay, that's awesome. I mean, I think after over time, when you reflect on all the things you've done, you can see like a whole timeline or pattern, like, okay, wow, and now this is where you sit. And then, everything else to still follow. Even for myself, I wear many hats too, and I'm like, I have to think about like, what is the prominent one that I am more, that gravitates me more, what I'm best
Sure.
at. But I'm still learning, and it will still come to me. So I still don't have even answered that question yet.
I'm
But
sure you're good at all you do.
thank you. I mean, and through all that, so where do you find your inspiration?
I'm just driven. I grew up in the church. My parents introduced me early to the relationship with the Lord, God, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So that was my first and foremost inspiration. I also like just touching the hearts of people. The play Celebrate the King is just so inspirational.
Mm,
It was funny because we did a lot of Christmas stuff, a lot of Christmas music, and some music that I wrote. But people came up to me afterwards and they said, "Wow, thank you. I really needed that." And I said, "What did you need?" They said, "I needed that inspiration." And I think that made me feel good to know that you can touch the hearts of people in some of the projects that we do. And I credit that to the hall as well. Just the whole setting from the decorating. We had some poinsettias and the lighting, and there was
yeah.
just a nice, wonderful Christmas inspirational vibe going on in that room for all 3 nights. So that, God first and everything.
Hmm.
And that's where my blessings come from as well.
Well, amen to that. I mean, I do agree. I feel like just even something can be so simple that could
Right.
be highlighted with some nice aesthetics or props or
Yes.
stage lighting can make everything look such like $1 million like Hollywood
Yes.
film. But
Yes.
we consider all of our work Hollywood film. This is our playground. This is where we learn and be able to progress better in our craft and provide great service. And the one thing for our mission is making sure that we vitalize our neighborhoods and make folks know that the arts is welcome for everybody, not just a particular group. It belongs to
Yes.
everybody.
That's correct.
So,
That's right. Most definitely.
oh. Now, what has been something you learned from the last year due to this pandemic?
There's a lot. I learned a lot of little things. First of all, I learned how to trim and cut my own hair. don't don't use this viewing as a template, please, because I've been home for the last few. Um, but going back to that word patient, I just learned that you just have to be patient and respect the authorities who've lined things into place for us for our protection. You still got to honor that. But it also has given me so much more free time to do more writing, to finish up what I'm doing, to
Hmm.
write more of my music. It really has freed up a lot of time for me. Um, the next gig I'm working on, sorry if I'm jumping ahead on your questions, is called Jigging at the Jug.
Cheating at
Uh,
the
jigging at the jug, and it's about a young man who's raised in the country, and he wants to go to the big city. So he gets his little money. He moves to New York, and he gets involved in all these things. He finds a new love, but then he meets a friend, and it takes him to this club called the Brown Jug, and that's
Mm.
where all the action is happening. All the singing and the dancing. But he runs into some hard times, but he gets back on his feet. Now I don't want to tell too much.
Yeah, don't tell too
Um,
much.
I don't want to tell too much, but it's gonna be awesome. And the thing that I'm wrestling with is the style of music. Do I want to stick with the old, because it's based in the 30s? Do I
Okay.
want to stick with that style of music, or do I want to contemporize it? To make it sound a little more temporary. We'll see though. Um, but that's what I've had a chance to really, really work on top of Celebrate the King, finish that up. I wanted for Celebrate the King, I wanted to do more original. I don't want to do anybody else's material, especially since we're going to be streaming.
Yes, exactly. That's
So
always best.
that's, yes, so that's I'm just finishing that up as we prepare. And then my choir members are saying, "Well, what songs are you gonna write? Why don't we just pay the arts?" Because they love the songs we did last year, but they don't understand. Papa
Yeah,
may have, Mama may have, but God bless the child that has his own. You gotta work to have your own material.
yeah.
Have your own thing, your own product, make it your own. And so that's what I'm striving for. So with Jigging at the Jug, it's gonna be all original music, celebrate the King. To celebrate the king. It's okay.
That
Uh-oh.
I guess we're supposed to play a game. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah,
Okay, excellent. Sorry about that.
that's okay. Don't know
Uh,
where that came from.
yes, my bell. It was me.
Oh. Uh, so yeah, the jigging at the jug is a thing. I'm making my own product, and out of respect to Hibernian Hall, I don't really look at it as a practice site. That's to me is big time. You guys are big time there. Everything that you do as you walk into the offices, you see the staff, everybody at the desk doing different things. I go to your website and I see your staff and everyone, from Leslie to yourself, to Kelly and a
Mhm.
few other friends that I have working there, is big time. But with jigging at the jug, I'm kind of looking for a bigger stage. I need to get to the Wang or the Schubert for
Oh, so you
that
trying to
one.
start big, extra fast.
Oh, I'm going for the gusto, I'm
Oh
going for
yeah.
the gusto. So we'll see how that goes, but that's the goal. That's the plan of mine.
Okay, that sounds good. No, that's a great goal. It's a great goal. 1 second.
It's okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
As much as you try to get things like going perfectly, I swear there's always some kind of interruption. It's when you learn about broadcasting and all those things. But yes, let's continue right on. So no, that's great. That's a great goal to have, especially when we're all closed in and it gives us time to think and manifest and you know different ways to how we channel our work. So
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
and I mean this is I guess would be a good example of how our challenge is my biggest things of doing these kind of work, especially when working from home. You're trying to
Yeah.
find ways where it's quiet, you're not being disrupted by distractions in the household.
Yeah. Well, you see where you're at when you're faced up against uh, oppositions as these, and
Mm-hmm.
things that lead you to an alternative direction. It really shows your strength, and that's not the time to fold up and say, "Oh well, oh me, oh my." But one thing I learned is it's a time for you to really step up and work even harder, and to see how you can overcome. We're overcomers, but you only overcome by pressing on. There's always going to, this COVID-19, we know what's going on. We know it's keeping people home, but you have to still continue to do what you do. You got to still work hard or find ways to be creative, find ways to, like I said, I started cutting my own hair. I started trimming and cutting something I would never, ever, ever do. But I mean, not only does it save me money, but it saves me time of just going to a barber shop and sitting there and waiting, 20 minutes, half an hour or two till it's your turn. So that's the thing is we got to be overcomers. You gotta press forward in spite of all that's going on around us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. And what would be your greatest accomplishment?
My greatest accomplishment has not happened yet. It's always going to be the next one, whatever that is.
That's
But
all.
I'm
Still a good answer.
Yeah, but I'm very proud of all the things that I've done that God has blessed me with the abilities to do. I'm very proud of all those things. But I will continue to strive and try to do better and better at everything, and continue to find more and more. This celebrate the King. I wanted to do it, and I went online. I'm like, wait, I need a hall. I need some way to perform this. There's plenty of churches. I thank God for the city of Boston and my relationship with a lot of the pastors in the churches here. And a lot of them would willingly open up their doors for me to come in. But I really wanted to get outside of the church and do something, and so that we
Mhm.
can reach, not just Baptists, but Catholics, Eucharists, Methodists, or whoever, people off the street. I want to reach everyone. So I thank God that I ran into you guys, and the rest is history.
Yep, that's why it's happened. It's still happening in Hibernian Hall, and we
Yes.
still trying to make it happen. I mean, I'm glad that everything did work out, and I mean, I'm just curious. Before you even decided to do a Hibernian Hall, how long have you been showing this piece of work?
We actually, and like I said, Celebrate the King is a modern day version of the birth of Christ. We
Hmm.
just took it and modernized it. And we actually did it at a church in Saugus, Mass. And the turnout was really good and the reviews are really good. So that's when I was like, okay, all right, we got to roll with this. And so I only did it one time before, I did it at the hall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I only did one time. I mean, every year I usually try to do a little Christmas play, but for this version that I did,
Hmm.
or I want to say that we only did it one time. And based on the reviews, I knew I was ready for what's coming next. So I want to find another step above where I was at. Um, so when I emailed Farai, who I didn't know who Farai, she is the niece to me because we went to high school together. So I went on Facebook and saw her picture. I'm like, that's the niece. That's the niece. So when I sent her an email, I said, is this Denise Williams from Concord, Colorado? So we collaborated, and so that's how we were able to come together and work together.
Yeah, it's an interesting way how we connect in different levels.
Sure.
It just always circles back how the world can be so small but also so big at the same time.
Oh
Um,
yes.
so I mean that's awesome. I mean, it felt like you have been showing this production like numerous years. I can't believe that it's been done one. It's in a bigger bloom at Hibernian. So I'm grateful to be
Yeah.
a part of that process. Well,
Yeah.
we are grateful to be a part of that process.
Yeah. I mean, the singers are very, very talented. I mean, we have some of Boston's finest talent. I mean, Andre Chapman is, he's a deacon at his church.
Mm.
He looks like he's 15 years old, but he's a
That was the
family
lead
man.
singer, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
light skinned guy.
mhm.
That's Andre. And then Abaya, she goes to a church in Lawrence. Her father pastors a church in Lawrence, Lawrence, Mass. And so I heard her sing, and they came together, and it was like a nice, link up for them. So everyone in the play, they were all friends. As you know, as I go through the church scene, you run into different people, and then you ask them to try it. And no one really had to audition because I already knew how they were.
Gotcha.
But
Wait,
they
oh,
were
so
very,
everybody
very
was
talented.
at the same church?
No, we're all from all over,
Oh,
all
interesting.
over.
See?
Doreen Murray she's a minister of music at Zion Baptist in Lynn, Massachusetts. You have people from Brockton who goes to churches out in Brockton, in Boston. They're from all over.
Wow. Well, shout out to the family. I didn't realize. I thought that everybody was coming from your church and you had put everyone together to the point where, I didn't, it just felt like everybody was, I mean, they are family, but it just felt like everybody came from the one place. Like everybody knew what was what. So
Yeah.
it's
Hey,
fascinating.
no disrespect to my church, but I wish I had that much talent in one place.
Hey, now that you're setting the stones for a lot of folks to walk on, and it's amazing how, because some folks probably have the thought in their mind like, oh, I want to do this, I want to produce that, and don't know how to do it or where to start, and you just
Sure.
created something. And it's just like you said, it's all about being aware, observant, and connecting with folks so you can
Yeah.
really to find that path that you're trying to take. So
Yeah, and one thing I learned was just taking your ideas, taking your fantasy, your creation, as little girls and little boys as we grow up, we play with our Barbie dolls, our little trucks, we play cowboys and Indian and all this stuff, but we have this incredible, creation in our head, where we fantasize to be a king or a princess. Well,
mhm.
that's all it is. It's just taking it and put it into writing. You see all these other books and novels that are out there. Someone just had a good, a fantasy in their head, and they've just put it in writing.
Mm. Writing. Like one day I'm gonna write something. I want it to be like I want to be on the artist side one day. So you just kind of experience what you guys feel when you're put out in the forefront, then being the one to produce and put everything together.
Yeah, we got a part for you.
All right, I'm ready. I'm prepared.
Hey,
Give me
we
part.
need
I'll take it.
we need someone to play a tree for us.
Oh, I need action. I mean, I think that'd be a good tree.
You can play a rock. A rock? Can you do a rock?
They still not saying anything. Yeah. But the fact that you were talking about the new play that you're working on, and trying to figure out like when's a good time when you're going to actually, I don't know, put a teaser. I think it's something you were trying to work on to put on for next year.
Yes, next year is definitely the goal. Um, I still have to finish up the music. The script is written. Script is written, already set to go. Um, yeah, I got to get the music scored and then copywritten. A lot of people don't see that side of the business, but I have a person who scores my music for me, and then I just get it all copywritten.
All
Because
right.
if I'm gonna put stuff out there, you gotta own it. You gotta do it right and make sure that you own your material. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to get that going right away. And then I hope to choose my own cast. Bring the people that I know together from all over.
Yeah,
From,
I mean, you still can either way,
yeah,
whatever you're doing.
yeah,
Hibernian Hall is always welcome to be that place for you to, come up with your craft and put your first production up for this new play.
yeah,
So,
yeah. That's the goal. Yes, the goal. Definitely next year is the goal to have it done.
okay. And then also you was talking about, so that's what we should be paying attention to as coming up. But how do you feel with now most of the things are going virtual? So Celebrate the King, we did a physical event where we filled the seats of 200 people. And now we're looking at putting this particular production on video, live as we are now. And I mean, it'd be great because it'll reach a different audience that don't live in Boston or in
Sure,
New England. And it's a great way for folks who are not familiar about Melvin Murphy. But
sure.
I mean, how do you feel about all this right now?
Sure. I mean, I'm excited. I think it's great. Videotaping gives us chance to edit, move at a slower pace. There's so many pluses about it too. You get to sit back and review. Like you said, you get to reach a bigger audience. I remember, before Tyler Perry made it really, really big, I remember he was doing his Medea thing on video first.
Mm.
And they were playing it. Now, some of them were probably bootlegs, but they were playing them in the barber shops and the hair salons. And while you're sitting there waiting to get your hair cut, you watch Medea on video when they were doing the live streaming shows. But he became popular. That made him really big. It was the videos that were going out there that made him really, really, who he is. Because when he came out with his first movie, the majority of the black community, we already knew who he was. And I think once he came out, he began to reach others. So I'm excited about the video. I think it's a great idea. We get to do scene by scene and work on different people's. Everyone has a different schedule, so it gives us a little more time and space. So I think it's great. I'm looking forward to
Awesome. Me too.
that.
And there's so many things that we can look forward to. We're blessed that we're be able to be on this video again. We're alive, we're breathing, and blessed that we'll be able to still be creative and craft some beautiful work for everybody to see. And with
Yes.
that said, what would be your professional superpower?
My professional superpower. Geez, you probably have to ask someone else that question who knows me. Um, all I know is I try to do what I know how to do. I try to make people feel welcome. I try to make people feel confident as I work with them. But I'll go back to what I said earlier. Patience and teamwork. Those two I feel are two areas that I learned how to do. Being patient with one another, being understanding of everybody's situation. You know, uh, older person said to me years ago, clear talk will bring clear understanding. So I say that to say that you always have to be direct with people, not sugarcoat, but give it to them direct and be precise, and so that there's a clear understanding. But at the same time, you got to be patient too. And then being a team player, learn how to be a team player, learn
Mm,
how to work with people. Everybody, we're all different. We all have our different ways of how we go about things. So I learned to be understanding of that and being patient and willing to work with those people. I credit myself on coming a long way. It took me a while to figure it out, but I actually love working with people. Questions don't bother me because people have a lot of questions about what you do and how you do it. I'm not intimidated by that. As a matter of fact, I welcome their questions. I welcome their meetings. It gives me a chance to really explain myself. So I would say those two areas would be my superpower, if there is a superpower.
It's what you make it. It's what you make it, brother.
That's
But
right.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, some of us want to do many things. We want to disappear. We want to teleport. We want to read minds, and maybe have a clone so you be able to get to work faster. I don't know. Super energy, fly. But it's what you make it. Your power is your power, and people have to see that light whenever you show them. So this is great. Um,
Yeah.
do you have any best advice or yeah, any like pointers to give to folks who are in this business, who enjoy producing or just arranging music? Like,
Sure.
how would they find you? How would they get to know you? What can you give to our audience?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. If you're looking to sing, looking to act, I can use you. But if I were to give any advice, you definitely want to reach out and ask questions to people who are already in the industry. But the first major thing is, be confident in yourself. I
Mm.
have a young lady at the church who applied for a play and she got the part. But then she started doubting herself. And she called the people. She says, "Why did you guys choose me?" She started asking them all these questions.
Really?
Oh,
Oh.
why did you pick me? Like she started wrestling with that. And then they realized that she wasn't as confident and they called her and said, we can't use you for this part anymore. And so I want to say, be confident in yourself. Be confident in your work. If no one else believes in your work, you believe in your work. Sometimes you got to walk away and pat yourself on your back and say, you know what? I think I did a good job. I work
Mm.
in the IT world, and in the IT world, everybody can see what you're doing. And I remember I made this one mistake. We had this maintenance week, and I made this real bad mistake. So I came out of that, and my boss said, "How did you feel?" I said, D, I said, I did 22 things right, and I did one thing wrong. I said, everybody talked about the one thing wrong, but no one mentioned the 22 things that I did right. And I began to think about that, and I encouraged myself that I did 22 things right. I walked out there feeling good about myself. I was confident, and I gave myself a pat on the back. Sometimes you have to do that. If no one else encourages you, you encourage yourself and be confident in who you are. In a
Mhm.
time where we're wrestling with mental illness, OCD, ADD, and all these other things, you got to know who you are. And when
Mhm.
you know who you are, no one can tell you anything different.
That's really nice. Really good. Thank you.
You,
Great
you,
advice.
you're gonna make me preach up in here.
Hey, we'll say that for another time, another
Another
tune. But
time.
at least people
Yes.
get a taste of that, and I believe that. I mean, you
Sure.
gotta make sure you feel confident, even though sometimes you might feel like you're not the best. And maybe
That's
what
right.
it is that you haven't heard much compliments in the future, so you can feel uplifted. And so
Yes.
that's where this is crucial in this time, especially during this pandemic. We have a lot of people going through that internally because they're not able to be around with people or just see the crap that they have been doing since they've been around with people.
Yeah, we try to judge ourselves based on what we placed on Facebook. We
Mhm.
may we place our picture out there and we want 200 people to like it. But if 200 people don't like what I put out there, I'm still loving myself. Sometimes you gotta give yourself a hug and say, I still, and stop posting your high school pictures. Put some up to date pictures and be confident in yourself.
Be confident.
Be
As you
confident.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're
Um,
welcome.
yeah. So, anything else that we need to share or you want to share to the people?
Yeah. I do want to say thank you again to you, Miss Ola, for all of your help, support, and collaboration. You are such a great asset with us. We really, really appreciate you, the cast. We all really appreciate. Thank you to Miss Leslie Reed, to Miss Jean, is it Panado,
Yep.
and to the whole Hibernian Hall, Madison Park staff. We really appreciate all that you do for us and all that you do for the community and all that you do for the city of Boston and the state of Massachusetts. It really, really means a lot. You guys give so many people opportunity. I've gone to your events. I've sat there and I watch and I say, wow, this is incredible. So just want to say thank you for that. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. We appreciate you as well. I mean, for folks who are not familiar with Hibernian Hall, we are your home for arts and culture in the heart of Boston. And so, with that said, we would love to big up, give the shine light to emerging artists that are looking for a home or a space to gravitate to their art and share to the world. And it's also a learning space for us and a learning curve of how we keep things vibrant and welcome the arts and culture to everyone. We have a beautiful ballroom space that's 3,600 square feet. If folks who are interested in too, down below in our ticker is our donate to Hibernian Hall. And there, all the proceeds go to our arts and culture programming here. And, it's part of our economic development program. And also, if you want to get more involved, you can join our friends at Hibernian Hall. Go on our website, www.madison-park.org. You can see all the initiatives of all of our departments and see what we do. So thank you so much. I want you to have a blessed day and enjoy your, it's raining. I don't know where everybody's at this time, but definitely appreciate you coming on. I'm so glad that we're able to revive and redo this interview so people can actually hear what you had to say.
Thank you very, very much. And listen, there's much more to come, so y'all stay tuned.
No, definitely. So yes, and also before in closing, I just want to let folks know that we have one more community spotlight interview next Monday, and we have a lovely gift. And that'll be more into the film production. But yes, it'll be our 13th conversation, and this will be ending our summer web series. I'm so proud. This is the first ever that we put something like this together, and I thought it was a great way to connect with our community partners due to this COVID-19. And so I think we'll be picking this up every year, just a way to follow through and keep ourselves accountable. So now I'm going to stop talking. Thank you, Melvin. And
thank you for having me.
Yes.